Have you ever wondered why, in a country as prosperous as the United States, our cupboards are often empty? It's a question that haunts many of us as we stare at the bare shelves in our kitchens, and it's a question that deserves an answer. In the land of plenty, where abundance is a cornerstone of the American dream, 1 in every 8 people grapple with an unseen crisis: food insecurity. That's right. In a nation that boasts of skyscrapers and sprawling metropolises, there are millions who go to bed hungry, their dreams overridden by the gnawing reality of an empty stomach. It's a paradox that's hard to digest. The United States, a symbol of wealth and prosperity, home to some of the world's largest corporations and wealthiest individuals, yet it's also a place where every day parents struggle to put food on the table for their children. Teachers see students whose concentration wavers, not because of a lack of interest, but because of a lack of nutrition. And the elderly, who after a lifetime of work find their golden years tarnished by the worry of where their next meal will come from. This is not a tale of a few isolated incidents, but a widespread reality that affects every state, city, and community. From the sun-kissed fields of California to the bustling streets of New York, the echo of empty cupboards reverberates. A silent symphony of a crisis that remains largely unseen and unspoken. And what's more bewildering is that while our fellow citizens are grappling with this harsh reality, our government, under the banner of international aid, is dropping off millions of food boxes in foreign lands. It's a noble cause, no doubt. But as the saying goes, charity begins at home. As we navigate through the aisles of our local stores, it's hard to ignore the empty shelves. But why is this happening? The answer, my friends, is a complex web of causes and effects, a tale of economic disparity, policy failures, and a society that has turned a blind eye to the plight of its most vulnerable. But it's a tale that needs to be told, for only then can we hope to find a solution. One might question, in such a prosperous nation, why are so many families unable to put food on the table? You see, the answer is not as straightforward as it might seem. There's a multitude of hidden causes, a complex web of interconnected issues that contribute to food scarcity in the United States. Let's start with income inequality. It's a term we hear often, but what does it mean? It refers to the unequal distribution of income within a population. In the United States, this gap between the rich and the poor is widening. The top 1% of earners has seen their wealth grow exponentially, while the bottom 50% has seen little to no growth in their income. This disparity leaves many families struggling to afford basic necessities, including food. Next, we have unemployment. While the job market may seem robust on the surface, the reality is much different. Many people are underemployed, meaning they work part-time when they want and need full-time employment. Others work in unstable, low-paying jobs without benefits. These situations often leave individuals and families unable to consistently afford enough food. And then there's the rising cost of food. In the past decade alone, the cost of basic food items has increased by a staggering amount. A loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, a dozen eggs, these staples are becoming more and more expensive. This price increase, coupled with stagnant wages, means that many families are having to make tough choices between buying food and paying for other essentials like rent or medication. To make matters worse, the cost of living has outpaced wage growth in recent years. This means that even though people may be earning more on paper, their purchasing power has diminished. They're not able to buy as much with their earnings due to the rising costs of housing, healthcare, education, and yes, food. It's a complex web of issues, but it's clear that something needs to change. This is not just about empty cupboards or bare store shelves. It's about a system that has failed too many of its citizens, leaving them hungry in a land of plenty. While we grapple with scarcity at home, our government is sending food aid overseas. Is this a case of misplaced priorities? This question echoes in the minds of many Americans today. It's a paradox that demands our attention. The United States historically has been a generous provider of food aid. Every year, we send hundreds of millions of dollars worth of food to nations struggling with hunger. This noble endeavor, however, raises eyebrows when contrasted with the domestic landscape. At this very moment, millions of our fellow citizens are wrestling with the harsh reality of food insecurity. Parents are struggling to put meals on the table. Children are going to bed hungry. The elderly are forced to choose between medication and a decent meal. This isn't a scene from a dystopian movie, but a stark reality in the land of plenty. Now let's juxtapose these two images. On one hand, we have a nation that's a beacon of generosity, providing sustenance to those in need across the globe. On the other hand, we have a country where countless citizens are grappling with the specter of hunger. The statistics are staggering. In the past year, the U.S. has shipped over $2 billion worth of food aid overseas. Yet simultaneously, close to 40 million Americans are food insecure. That's approximately 1 in every 8 individuals, including millions of children and senior citizens. This isn't about undermining the importance of international aid. It's about questioning the balance. It's about asking why we can't feed our own while we feed the world. The government's role in addressing food scarcity isn't merely about policy creation, it's about policy implementation. It's about ensuring that the welfare of its citizens is not neglected in the pursuit of global philanthropy. The situation calls for a paradigm shift, a balance that doesn't compromise our international obligations, but also doesn't ignore the silent pleas of our own people. So we find ourselves in a predicament, feeding the world while our own people go hungry. With so many Americans struggling, it's clear that a change is needed. But what can we do? The question echoes in the minds of many, but the answer is not as elusive as it may seem. The key lies within the power of policy and societal change. While this may sound abstract, it's anything but. These are tangible, actionable steps that have the potential to turn around the current situation. Consider, for instance, the effect of policy changes. A reevaluation of our current policies could lead to the inception of those that prioritize national welfare over international aid. By redirecting resources, we could ensure that the millions of food boxes currently being dropped off in foreign lands instead find their way to the dinner tables of American families. Next, let's discuss the power of an increased minimum wage. Many of the families struggling to put food on the table are not unemployed, they're underpaid. Raising the minimum wage could provide these households with the additional income necessary to make ends meet. It's a simple equation. More income equals more food, more stability, and ultimately less empty cupboards. But change doesn't stop with policy and wage adjustments. A robust social safety net is also crucial. We need to enhance programs like food stamps and unemployment benefits, and introduce new ones that directly tackle food insecurity. This safety net would act as a buffer, providing immediate relief to those in need and ensuring that no American goes to bed hungry. Yes, these solutions do require significant effort. They require us to question the status quo, to challenge the decisions of those in power, and to demand better. But if we can come together as a nation, if we can prioritize the needs of our fellow citizens over politics, then we can make a difference. Change is not only possible, it's necessary. And it starts with us. It starts with you and me, raising our voices, casting our votes, and demanding a better future for all Americans. Change is possible, but it requires action from all of us. Awareness is the first step towards change. So, what can you do to help? In a world filled with information at our fingertips, it's easy to overlook the power that lies within each one of us. The power to spread awareness, to ignite conversation, to stimulate action, and right now your power, your voice is needed more than ever. You see, change doesn't happen in isolation. It's a collective effort. It's the result of the many, not the few. It's the outcome of shared stories, shared struggles, shared victories. It's the consequence of awareness, of understanding the plight of those who are facing hardships. Our cupboards may be empty, our stores may be bare, but our voices are not silenced. We have the potential to bring about change, to make our government aware of the crisis that is unfolding right under their noses. We can make them see the families who are struggling, the parents who can't feed their children, the people who are falling through the cracks. That's why sharing this video is more than just a click of a button. It's a statement. It's a declaration that you see the crisis, that you understand its gravity, that you're not willing to turn a blind eye. It's a commitment to raising awareness, to sparking conversations, to pushing for change. And when we come together, when we unite our voices, We create a chorus so loud, so compelling, that it can't be ignored. We can shake the foundations of the status quo, we can force the hand of change, we can ensure that no family, no child goes hungry. Remember, change starts with you. It starts with your awareness, your willingness to share, your commitment to action. By sharing this video, you're helping to raise awareness about a crisis that affects millions of Americans. Remember to subscribe for more content like this. Together, we can make a difference.